As you read through the Old Testament, you read those shadows, those projections, those types, and you read all that kind of stuff. And go, I know what that's talking about. That's talking about something bigger than what they thought it was. They thought it was about land. They thought it was about law. They thought it was about bloodline with Abraham. They thought it was about a temple. Paul said, no. The mystery is all of those were pointing to something bigger, greater, and it's all in Jesus. So the mystery explained is Jesus. Really complicated. But how does it work? So in John chapter 12, Jesus is finishing up. Here's what he says. Now is the judgment of this world. Now will the ruler of this world be cast out. And when I'm lifted up from the earth, I will draw people to myself. Okay, Jesus says, okay, my public ministry is over. Next is John 13, where we have the Passover meal with the disciples, and Judas betrays him, and then Jesus is crucified, then he's raised from the dead, he's ascended to the right hand of the Father. All of that's about to happen. Jesus is saying, what I'm doing now is I am crushing the head of Satan. I am fulfilling the promise God made to Eve in the Garden of Eden, in the first temple. I am crushing the head of Satan. The language used here, the grammar used here, the tense used here is saying it's starting now, but it will continue. That's what we in the temple do. We take the crushed the benefit of the crushed head of Satan, and we began to enforce that in the world. We are the light of the world because he's the light. In John 1, it says, in him was light, and that light was the light of the world. That life was the light of the world. We are that light. So what's our role as a temple? Well, it's certainly not to get out of here as quick as we can. It is to get involved as quick as we can. It is to go into the whole world, pushing back the darkness. And here's the confidence we have, y'all. Light has never lost one battle against darkness. Never. Our record is 1,000,000 to none. Darkness only wins when the light doesn't show up. When somebody has believed that that's not our job, things are supposed to get bad, it's supposed to get darker and darker, so Jesus will hurry up and come get us out of here. No, that's heresy. We're not waiting for Jesus to come to take us to another realm. We are living because the other realm has already come in Jesus. We're living in it now, and we'll live in it until he comes back and consummates things. That's another time to clap right there. That's a good sign. So where are we? We are the temple of the living God. We are mobile. We have been sent into the world. Wherever we go, light begins to push back darkness. I know sometimes we get pretty critical of the church, and we're talking about the structure and some of the stuff that's happened to it. But I would encourage you, there's not another option. The church is going to win. We are winning. And when the early church came, things were bad. We think they're bad now. We just don't have a lot to compare it to. The early church began to come and take care of the sick. Until then, the sick were just cast away. The poor were not even recognized as a category. They didn't take care of the poor. Didn't take care of children. If you didn't want the child, just leave them on the street. Didn't take care of women. Women were abused and treated as chattel. Didn't take care of education. None of that was happening until the church began to spread the light of the glory of God in the society. And the church is still doing that. And the church, when the church begins to preach the gospel and share who Jesus is and what he's done, darkness will back up and the light will shine. And that's our role. So going back to the metaphor of David and Goliath, we are a lot like those Israelites who were being intimidated by Goliath. And I can understand it. If I'd been a soldier of that day, I would have been one of them. I'd been hiding in the tent too, because that sucker was big. He was over 9 feet tall when people back then were less than 6 feet tall. I mean, Saul was a tall dude, and he was nothing compared to Goliath. And Saul being a little taller than the average guy. I love the way the ESV describes Saul. The ESV says, Saul, from the shoulders up, was taller than other men. So I have a picture of this normal-sized guy with a neck about that long. That's where literalism and interpretation get a little obscure. What it's saying is he's head and shoulders taller than everybody else. And that's one of the things that made him attractive to the Israelites. We wanted a king that was big. Well, he was also bad. So little David comes along, and Saul says, I'll give you my armor. So little David puts on Saul's armor, and he's looking out through the armhole, and it's like, I don't think this is going to work. And so David goes down, and he defeats Goliath. Now, you know why David could defeat Goliath? He says, because he was such a skilled sling thrower. No. He tells you why in his rebuke of the army. He said, what? You guys who represent the God of Israel, the God of creation, the God of covenant, you represent him and you're letting that Philistine mock you? Why, he said, I'll go down there in the name of God, because when I go in the name of God, God goes and God will guide whatever. He could have gone down there with a spitball. Because he was representing God, and when he represented God, something happened. So he goes down, he slings that rock, hits him right in the forehead, drops him dead, goes over and cuts his head off, sticks his head on the end of his own sword and holds it up. That's a picture of Jesus on the cross with cosmic evil. He has crushed the head of Satan.